The strange signal came on a Tuesday. It repeated for 3 hours before anyone realized it wasn't just another burst of cosmic noise. In the control room of Earth Defense Fleet Headquarters, Commander Alan Wright stared at the blinking red dot on his screen. After decades of searching the stars, aliens had finally found Earth. "Are we sure this isn't some kind of prank?" Alan asked, rubbing his tired eyes. Chief Science Officer Diane Powell shook her head. "The signal is coming from beyond Neptune's orbit and moving toward us. It's real." Within hours, the president had been informed. Within days, the entire world knew. An alien fleet was approaching Earth, broadcasting the same message over and over. "We come in peace as representatives of the Galactic Council." The Council, they soon learned, included over 200 alien species spread across thousands of worlds. Earth was not the first planet they had discovered, and they had a standard process for bringing new worlds into their organization. "I don't like it," Captain Samantha Miller said during the emergency meeting at the United Nations. "Why send 20 ships if they just want to talk?" Ambassador Gregory Nelson adjusted his glasses. "We need to show them that humans are reasonable. We'll meet them at the neutral location they suggested, the space station they've parked at the edge of our solar system." Alan watched as the ambassador's team prepared to depart. He noticed how the alien messages always mentioned protection and guidance, never partnership or exchange. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. 3 days later, the human delegation docked with the alien space station. It was a massive structure, gleaming with lights and technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. The aliens called themselves the Exortal. They walked on 2 legs, but had 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like a living mood ring. Their leader, High Emissary Jalkin, greeted the humans with a bow. "We welcome Earth to the galactic community," the alien said through a translator device. "For 50,000 years, the Council has maintained peace and order among the stars." Ambassador Nelson smiled politely. "We are eager to learn more about your Council and discuss possible relations between our worlds." The aliens seemed pleased. Too pleased, Alan thought as he watched the video feed from Earth. Next to him, Diane worked frantically at her computer. "I've been analyzing their language patterns," she whispered. "There are inconsistencies in the translation. When they say cooperation, their actual word is closer to submission." On the space station, the aliens presented Ambassador Nelson with a thick document. "This is our standard membership agreement," Jalkin explained. "It outlines how the Council will protect Earth and guide your development." Nelson began to read. His smile faded. "This says we must dismantle our military, and that Council representatives will supervise our governments. For your protection," Jalkin said smoothly, "all new species require guidance to avoid mistakes." Captain Miller stepped closer to the ambassador, her hand resting near her sidearm. "They're not making a request," she said quietly. "Look at their posture. This is a demand." Back on Earth, Alan received an urgent message from his security team. "Commander, we've detected smaller alien craft entering Earth's atmosphere while our delegation is distracted with negotiations." Nelson looked up from the document, his face now hard with resolve. "Let me understand. Every species you've encountered has signed this agreement." "Without exception," Jalkin said proudly. "We bring order to chaos." The ambassador stood up straight. He took the agreement in both hands, and then, with deliberate movements, tore it in half. "Humans prefer our chaos to your order," he said. The alien's skin turned a deep red. "This is unprecedented. Perhaps you misunderstand." "We understand perfectly," Nelson said. "Humanity will not surrender its independence. Not now. Not ever." He turned to Captain Miller. "We're leaving." The human delegation returned to their ship, leaving the stunned aliens behind. As they departed, Nelson sent one final message. "The people of Earth are willing to meet with the Council as equals. We will not be subjects. We will not be guided. If those terms are unacceptable, do not contact us again." On Earth, Alan watched the delegation's ship return. "Well," he said to Diane, "I think we just made history." "The question is," she replied, "what kind of history will it be?" On the massive ring world that served as the Galactic Council headquarters, aliens from 200 different species gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall. The room buzzed with shocked conversations. News of the humans' refusal had spread quickly. High Counselor Zexterra slammed his three-fingered hand on the table. "This is outrageous. No species has ever rejected council membership." His skin rippled with patches of angry purple. They tore up the sacred agreement. The representatives from the Voltar Confederation nodded their eye stalks in agreement. The delegates from the Murian Empire clicked their mandibles nervously. "Perhaps we misjudged their level of development," suggested Counselor Prendal, her feathers shifting from blue to gold. "They might be more primitive than we thought." In a shadowy corner of the hall, Intelligence Officer Kevin Harris pretended to be busy with his datapad. His human features had been carefully altered to resemble the Arcturan species. For 3 years, he had worked deep undercover, gathering information on the Council. Now he secretly recorded the meeting and prepared to transmit the data back to Earth. "I have studied their history," announced senior researcher Krolvon, projecting images of Earth's past wars onto the central display. "These humans are unusually violent, even for a young species. They have fought thousands of wars among themselves." The council members murmured in alarm. "And yet," continued Krolvon, "they have also created art, music, and literature of surprising beauty. They are contradictory beings." Zexterra waved dismissively. "All the more reason they need our guidance. For 50,000 years, we have brought peace to every world we encounter. We cannot allow one primitive planet to refuse our protection." Kevin Harris carefully moved toward the exit. He needed to warn Earth about what he had learned during his time with the Council. Their protection came with a price no free species should pay. On the other side of the chamber, Dr. Olivia Martinez felt her heart race. As a xenobiologist attached to the diplomatic corps, she had been studying Council species for months. Unlike Kevin, her cover was as a human scientist officially working with the Council. Now she understood the fundamental problem. "Respected Council members," she said, stepping forward, "I believe there has been a misunderstanding. In human culture, forcing protection on others without consent is considered offensive." Zexterra's eye ridges rose. "Consent? What a strange concept. The strong must guide the weak. This is the natural order." "Humans may not see themselves as weak," Olivia suggested carefully. "All new species are weak compared to the Council," Zexterra replied. "In time, they will understand our wisdom." The Council voted nearly unanimously to send a second delegation to Earth. This time, they would bring a ceremonial escort of warships to demonstrate the benefits of Council protection. "We must help them understand their place in the galaxy," Zexterra announced to approving clicks and whistles from the assembly. As the meeting ended, Kevin slipped away to his private quarters. He activated his quantum transmitter and sent an encrypted message to Earth. "Council sending larger force. Diplomatic in name only. True purpose, intimidation, and possible forced integration." Meanwhile, Olivia approached Vixalon, a representative from one of the newest Council species. "Has the Council always helped your people this way?" she asked carefully. Vixalon's eyes darkened. "We had no choice," he whispered. "They disabled our defenses before we even knew what was happening. The Council does not accept rejection. Ever." Back on Earth, Commander Alan Wright received Kevin's transmission. He immediately called an emergency meeting with global leaders. "The Council isn't coming back to negotiate," he told them, his face grim. "They're coming back to force us to join." Admiral Gary Peterson of the North American Fleet looked around the table. "Then we better get ready. How long do we have?" 3 weeks, maybe less," Alan replied. President Sofia Ramirez stood up. "Then we have work to do. If they want Earth, they'll have to fight for it. For the first time in human history, all nations agreed on one thing: Earth would not surrender. The nations of Earth moved with surprising speed. Old enemies set aside their differences. Rival powers shared military secrets. For the first time in human history, the entire planet united against a common threat. Admiral John Blackwell stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Liberty, watching as ships from every country joined the growing fleet in orbit. Russian destroyers flew alongside American carriers. Chinese satellites linked with European defense networks. Indian and Pakistani forces coordinated planetary defense grids. "Never thought I'd see the day," John said, shaking his head in wonder. His second-in-command, Captain Lisa Rodriguez, nodded. "Nothing brings people together like an alien invasion." "They haven't invaded yet," John reminded her. "But they will," Lisa replied. Down on Earth, lead engineer Patricia Rodriguez worked without sleep for 3 days straight. Her team had been given the remains of the translation device left behind during the first contact. Now they were trying to understand how it worked, and more importantly, how to use alien technology to create new weapons. "The power source is like nothing I've ever seen," Patricia told the international science team. She pointed to a glowing blue crystal in the center of the device. "It produces energy without any apparent fuel." Dr. Akira Tanaka from the Japanese Space Agency studied the readings. "If we can replicate this, we could power shields strong enough to protect our cities." In a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel Eric Davidson reviewed everything Earth knew about the aliens. He studied their ships, their weapons, even the way they moved. "They rely heavily on energy weapons," he told his team of military strategists. "And their ships are fast, but not very maneuverable. We need to use that against them." The plan they developed was simple but risky. Earth would not try to match the Council's superior technology head-on. Instead, they would use stealth, deception, and the home field advantage. Meanwhile, not everyone on Earth supported the military buildup. In cities across the world, people gathered to protest. "They came in peace," shouted one rally leader in London. "We should talk to them, not prepare for war." "How do we know our governments are telling us the truth?" asked another in Sao Paulo. Security forces watched these protests carefully, aware that the Council might have sympathizers or even agents among the population. At a listening post in Antarctica, communications specialist Lauren White detected an unusual signal. It didn't match the patterns used by the Council ships. The message repeated in several different formats, as if trying to find a way to be understood. When she finally decoded it, she immediately contacted Admiral Blackwell. "Sir, we've received a message from another alien species," she reported. "They say they're called the Relians. They claim they were once forced to join the Council against their will and want to warn us." The message explained that the Council had been doing this for millennia. They would find new civilizations, offer them protection, and then slowly take control of their planets, governments, and resources. Species that resisted were made examples of. The Relians had tried to fight back 300 years ago. Now they were a client race, serving as laborers and soldiers for the Council. "The Council is not what it seems," the message concluded. "Do not let them land on your world." As Earth prepared for the Council's return, engineers launched hundreds of stealth satellites throughout the solar system. These would serve as early warning systems, and, if necessary, the first line of defense. Admiral Blackwell gathered the commanders of Earth's unified fleet. "We have 3 advantages," he told them. "First, we're fighting for our home. Second, they underestimate us. And third, they don't know what we've planned." He looked out at the faces of men and women from every nation on Earth. "Let's show these aliens that humans don't surrender easily." The room erupted in determined cheers as the countdown to the Council's arrival continued. The Council fleet arrived with a display of power that was meant to impress and intimidate. 50 ships, each larger than the biggest human aircraft carrier, appeared at the edge of the solar system. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant sun. Council Ambassador Krelvor stood on the command deck of the flagship, his 4 arms held in the formal position of diplomatic authority. He had been chosen specifically for this mission because of his experience with difficult species. "Open a channel to the human planet," he ordered. "Use all frequencies." The communications officer obeyed. "Channel open, Ambassador." Krelvor cleared his throat tubes. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Krelvor of the Galactic Council. We have returned to continue our discussions. We understand there were misunderstandings during our first meeting. We wish to correct these and welcome you properly into the galactic community." He waited for a response. None came. "Perhaps they didn't hear us," suggested a junior officer. "Impossible. Our signal is strong enough to penetrate their entire atmosphere," said the communications specialist. "They are choosing not to respond." Krelvor frowned, his skin turning a puzzled yellow. "Continue broadcasting every 4 hours. They cannot ignore us forever." Behind him, General Drastan watched with growing impatience. As military commander of the fleet, he preferred direct action to diplomacy. "They disrespected the Council once already," Drastan said. "Perhaps they need a demonstration of our power. I suggest we disable one of their primitive satellites." Krelvor hesitated. "The Council prefers peaceful methods." "The Council also demands respect," Drastan countered. While the Council fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, Lieutenant Christopher Barnes monitored them from a small observation post on Pluto. The freezing outpost had been built in secret years earlier as part of Earth's deep space monitoring network. Christopher watched his screens carefully as several smaller vessels detached from the main Council fleet. They were spreading out, moving toward different planets in the solar system. "Base, this is Pluto Station," he reported through the secure quantum channel. "They're deploying something throughout the system. Looks like small devices, possibly communication relays or sensors." At Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Blackwell received the report. "They're setting up a network," he told his officers, "probably to monitor our communications and movements." "Should we destroy them?" asked his tactical officer. "Not yet," the Admiral replied. "Let them think we don't notice. For now, we maintain silence." The Council ships continued to approach, growing bolder with each passing day of human silence. Their broadcasts became more frequent, then more demanding, and finally contained thinly veiled threats. "Your continued silence is considered an act of hostility," Krelvor announced in his latest message. "The Council only wishes to help your species advance. Your resistance is both futile and illogical." Several of the smaller species represented in the Council fleet watched these developments with quiet interest. The Volaris, a race of gentle philosophers, had never seen a species resist Council integration before. Their representative, Silnar, secretly admired the humans' defiance. "Why do you think they remain silent?" she asked her aide. "Perhaps they are frightened," the aide suggested. Silnar shook her head. "No, I think they are planning something." When the Council fleet finally attempted to move closer to Earth, they encountered an invisible barrier. Their lead ship suddenly stopped, its engines straining against some unseen force. "What is happening?" demanded General Drastan. The science officer studied his readings in disbelief. "They've created some kind of energy field around their entire planet. It's using our own engine output against us. The more power we apply, the stronger the resistance becomes." For the first time, worry appeared on Krelvor's face. How could a primitive species develop such technology? The answer came a moment later when, all across the solar system, previously invisible defense platforms suddenly revealed themselves. Earth had not been silent because of fear. They had been silent because they were busy. The Council ships hung motionless in space, unable to advance closer to Earth. Their engines glowed bright blue as they pushed against the invisible barrier, but they could not move forward. "Impossible," muttered General Drastan, pounding his fist on the control panel. "How could primitives create technology that can stop our ships?" Ambassador Krell stared at the blue-green planet on the main screen. "We have underestimated them," he said quietly. "All around Earth, automated defense platforms maintain the energy field. These platforms had been built in secret using knowledge gained from studying the translation device and other alien technology left behind during the first contact. On Earth, Dr. Michelle Grant worked in a secured lab beneath the Pacific Ocean. For weeks, she had been studying the alien translation matrix, trying to understand how it worked. Now, she made a breakthrough. "Admiral, I've discovered something important," she reported to Admiral Blackwell via a secure channel. "The translation device doesn't just convert their language to ours. It subtly changes the meaning." "Explain," the Admiral said. Michelle adjusted her glasses. "When the aliens say words like protection and guidance, the device makes them sound reasonable. But I've bypassed the matrix and translated their actual words. What they really mean is control and domination." The Admiral frowned. "So even if we wanted to talk to them, we couldn't trust the translation." "Exactly," Michelle said. "It's designed to make them sound peaceful to us, while making us sound submissive to them." In orbit, Council diplomats sent message after message to Earth. Their tone grew increasingly desperate. "Why won't they respond?" Krell asked, his skin now a pale blue of confusion. "No species has ever ignored us like this." An aide approached carefully. "Ambassador, our supply ships report they cannot reach us through the human defenses. If this continues, we will begin to run low on food and fuel." On the bridge of Earth's flagship Liberty, Strategic Director Richard Cooper explained the human strategy to the Unified Command. "The Council expects submission or conflict," he told the assembled officers. "They have no protocol for being completely ignored. Our silence confuses them more than any weapon could." Captain Frank Wells looked skeptical. "But eventually, they'll attack, won't they?" Richard nodded. "Yes, but by then, they'll be disorganized, frustrated, and making mistakes. Meanwhile, every day gives us more time to study their technology and prepare." Several Council ships decided to test Earth's defenses. They moved away from the main fleet and approached from different angles, seeking weaknesses in the energy field. As they did, previously undetected Earth vessels suddenly appeared beside them. These stealth ships had been hiding in plain sight, using technology reverse-engineered from the Council's own cloaking systems. The Council ships froze, surrounded by human vessels that seemed to materialize from nowhere. On Earth, Security Director Heather Bennett discovered attempted infiltrations. Council agents, disguised to look human, had been deployed before the first contact. Now they were trying to sabotage defense systems and gather intelligence. "We've captured 3 of them trying to access military databases," she told the Security Council. "They're using advanced technology, but their understanding of human behavior is flawed. They stand out." The agents were contained in a special facility, unable to report back to their fleet. In the Council flagship, a quiet conversation took place between representatives of several smaller species. They spoke in whispers, away from the dominant Council races. "The humans have achieved what we never could," said Turnak of the Bizarri. "They've challenged the Council directly and survived." Zelmar of the Palaxians nodded. "Perhaps it is time to reconsider our place in this alliance." "Are you suggesting rebellion?" hissed Vork of the Nidari, looking around nervously. "I am suggesting that the Council may not be as all-powerful as we have been led to believe," replied Turnak. "For the first time in 50,000 years, someone has said no to them, and the Council doesn't know what to do." As the standoff continued, cracks began to appear in the Council's united front. Some wanted to attack immediately, others wished to retreat and reconsider. And a growing number watched the humans with something new: respect. 2 weeks into the standoff, the Council fleet began to face serious problems. Their ships were designed for quick diplomatic missions or overwhelming shows of force, not long sieges. Food supplies dwindled. Fuel reserves dropped to concerning levels. The crew members grew restless and irritable. This situation is becoming untenable. Council Elder Mivrak complained during the emergency meeting. His species needed to eat every 4 hours, and rations were now limited to 2 meals per day. We must either attack or withdraw. Ambassador Krelvor's skin had turned a dull gray from stress. The High Council has ordered us to remain until the humans agree to join. We cannot return empty-handed. Then we attack, said General Drastan, slamming his fist down. With what advantage? Asked Silinar of the Volaris, her voice calm but challenging. Their defenses stop our ships. Their stealth technology matches our own. And we know nothing of their actual military capabilities. While the Council argued among themselves, several member species made secret decisions. The Volaris, the Palaxians, and 3 other races had watched the humans stand firm against the Council's pressure. They saw a chance for something they had lost long ago: independence. Commander Torlak of the Palaxians sent a private communication to his ship. Prepare to break formation. We will speak with the humans directly. His second-in-command looked shocked. Sir, that violates Council protocol. The Council does not own us, Torlak replied. It's time we remembered that. On Earth, Technical Officer Daniel Hayes had spent days breaking into the Council's communication systems. Now he watched their internal messages with growing interest. Admiral, you need to see this, he told Admiral Blackwell. The Council fleet is falling apart. Several species are planning to separate from the main group. The Admiral studied the intercepted communications. They want to contact us independently of the Council leadership. Interesting. President Sofia Ramirez considered this development with her security advisors. Could this be a trick? Possible, said Strategic Director Richard Cooper. But our intelligence suggests these species have been unhappy with Council control for centuries. This may be a genuine opportunity. The President made her decision. Open a channel, but only to these breakaway ships. Continue to ignore the main Council fleet. 5 vessels pulled away from the Council formation, ignoring the angry commands to return. They approached the defense perimeter and stopped, broadcasting on a simple radio frequency rather than the Council's usual channels. People of Earth, said Commander Torlak, we wish to speak with you separately from the Council. We respect your independence and seek honest dialogue. For the first time since the Council's arrival, Earth responded. This is Earth Command. We are willing to speak with you. Approach coordinates being transmitted now. The rebel ships followed the instructions, arriving at Earth's moon, where a small human delegation waited in a hastily prepared meeting facility. Ambassador Nicole Carter led the Earth team. When the aliens entered the room, they did something unprecedented. They bowed to the humans. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, said Torlak. We have watched how you stand against the Council. No species has ever done this successfully. Nicole studied them carefully. Why have you broken from your fleet? Because you have reminded us of something we have forgotten, said Silmar, her feathered crest rising with emotion. That submission is not the only option. Back at the main fleet, General Drastan watched furiously as the rebel ships docked at the lunar base. They betray the Council by meeting with these primitives. No, said Krelvor quietly. I fear the Council betrayed them long ago, and we just never noticed. He looked at the view screen showing Earth's clear blue oceans and swirling white clouds. These humans have done the impossible. They've made us question our own ways. General Drastan's eyes narrowed. Then they are more dangerous than we thought. On the moon, Ambassador Carter presented Earth's terms for interaction: equality, respect for sovereignty, and honest communication without the deceptive translation matrix. The rebel aliens listened with growing hope. Perhaps humans were not just standing up to the Council. Perhaps they were showing a new way forward for all species. General Drastan had reached the end of his patience. For 3 weeks, his powerful fleet had been held at bay by a primitive species that refused to even speak with them. Now, several Council ships had broken away to negotiate separately with the humans. In his eyes, this was the final insult. I will not allow this humiliation to continue. he announced to his loyal commanders. The Council has always maintained control through respect. When respect fails, we must use force. Ambassador Krelvor raised his hands in alarm. The High Council has not authorized military action. The High Council is not here, Dras-10 replied coldly. They did not witness our ships being stopped by human technology. They did not see our allies betray us. I will restore order and then explain my actions. Despite Krelvor's protests, 7 warships detached from the main fleet and powered up their weapons. They approached Earth's defense perimeter, targeting the nearest platforms. Fire, ordered Dras-10. Brilliant beams of energy shot toward Earth's defenses. For a moment, it seemed the attacks had succeeded as several platforms went dark. Then, without warning, the defense network responded. Hidden systems activated automatically. Energy fields redirected the Council's weapons back at their own ships. 3 Council vessels were hit by their own fire, their shields failing under the unexpected reversal. Fleet Commander Benjamin Walsh watched from the bridge of Earth's flagship. He had been waiting for this moment. They had fired first, he told his crew. Now we can respond. Launch all fighters. Across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet revealed itself. Ships emerged from behind moons, from within asteroid fields, and from the dark side of planets. They had been positioned weeks ago, waiting silently for the order to engage. The Council ships found themselves suddenly surrounded as hundreds of smaller, faster Earth vessels appeared from all directions. Impossible, whispered a Council tactical officer as his screen filled with approaching targets. Where did they all come from? Earth's fighters were small and would have been no match for Council technology just months ago. But they had been upgraded with systems reverse-engineered from alien tech. They moved with incredible speed, firing weapons that could penetrate Council shields. Aboard the Council flagship, Ambassador Krelvor watched in horror as Dras-10's attack backfired catastrophically. You fool. You've started a war we weren't prepared to fight. On Earth, Research Director Linda Peterson made a startling discovery. While examining captured Council data cores, she found records of previous visits to Earth, dating back centuries. They've been watching us for over 300 years, she told Admiral Blackwell. Those UFO sightings people reported, many were real. Council observation ships crashed, and we recovered them. That's how we've advanced so quickly in the last century. We've been reverse engineering their technology without even realizing its origin. The Admiral shook his head in amazement. So when they came offering to guide us, we'd already been guiding ourselves with their own tech, Linda finished. As the battle continued, several more Council species broke away from the main fleet. They broadcast urgent messages of surrender and requests to join the rebel faction that had already made peace with Earth. The Council's strict hierarchy was collapsing. For the first time in 50,000 years, member species were making their own decisions. Aboard one of the rebel ships, Silnar received disturbing information from home. Our people report that Council control ships have left our homeworld. The Council is pulling back resources to deal with this situation. Commander Torlak nodded grimly. They fear this rebellion will spread. And they are right to be afraid. On the moon base, Ambassador Nicole Carter received news of the battle. Tell Earth Command that our new allies have provided critical information. The Council's ships have a design flaw in their engine cooling systems. Target those areas. Earth fighters adjusted their attack patterns accordingly. More Council ships went dark as their engines overheated and shut down. The once mighty Council fleet was now in disarray, caught between Earth's unexpected military strength and the growing rebellion within their own ranks. 1 week after the battle, representatives from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth's orbital station. They came not as conquerors, but as diplomats seeking peace. Their fleet had been defeated, their authority questioned by their own member species. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Council had to negotiate as equals. High Counselor Zex Terra himself led the delegation. His skin no longer showed the confident purple of authority, but the pale blue of uncertainty. We formally request a ceasefire and open dialogue with Earth, he said, the words clearly difficult for him to speak. Across the table sat the human delegation, led by President Sofia Ramirez and Ambassador Gregory Nelson, the same ambassador who had torn up the Council's agreement during first contact. "We are willing to talk," the president said. "But first, we have something to show you." The humans presented evidence gathered from the captured Council ships and the testimony of the rebel species. Files, records, and data stretching back thousands of years revealed the Council's true nature. They had never been protectors but controllers, systematically suppressing the development of member species while extracting their resources and labor. "Your translation system doesn't just convert languages," explained Professor William Morgan, Earth's leading linguist. "It subtly alters meaning to encourage submission. Every species you've encountered has been manipulated through your diplomatic language." Zex Terra's skin turned gray with shock. "This is how we've always done things. The strong guide the weak. The advanced help the primitive. But you kept them weak," Ambassador Nelson pointed out. "You never allowed them to become truly advanced." Meanwhile, Captain Ryan Phillips led a mission far from Earth. Using information provided by the rebel species, Earth ships traveled to several protected worlds. There, they disabled the Council's control systems that had limited those planets' development for centuries. One by one, these worlds began to experience true freedom. Communications technology that had been restricted suddenly worked at full capacity. Scientific research that had been subtly hindered now progressed rapidly. Back on Earth, the negotiations continued. The Council representatives gradually realized that their entire system was collapsing. More species were declaring independence every day. "What do you want from us?" Zex Terra finally asked, his voice heavy with defeat. "Nothing," President Ramirez replied simply. "We don't want your protection. We don't want your guidance. We want to find our own way among the stars." In the following months, a new galactic order began to form. The old Council structure crumbled as species after species demanded the same independence that humans had demonstrated. Some worlds formed their own alliances. Others chose to stand alone. Many decided to join the new alliance that Earth was helping to establish, one based on genuine cooperation rather than control. Professor William Morgan created a new translation system that allowed for honest communication between species. Unlike the Council's version, this one preserved the true intent and meaning of all parties. Language should build bridges, not prisons, he explained to a gathering of representatives from 30 different worlds. 1 year after first contact, Ambassador Gregory Nelson returned to the same space station where he had torn up the Council agreement. The station had been rebuilt, no longer a place of Council authority, but a neutral meeting ground for all species. There, he met with delegates from across the galaxy. Together, they signed a new treaty, one that Nelson himself had helped write. It guaranteed the sovereignty of all species while establishing protocols for trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. "We didn't want diplomacy on their terms," Nelson told the assembled representatives. "But we are eager for friendship on equal terms." As the signing ceremony ended, High Counselor Zex Terra approached Nelson privately. His skin now showed a color humans had never seen before, a subtle green that indicated new understanding. "You have taught the galaxy a valuable lesson," he said quietly, "perhaps the most valuable one we have learned in 50,000 years." "What lesson is that?" Nelson asked. "That true strength lies not in control," Zex Terra replied, "but in freedom."